Welcome to Showdown. I'm Mark Kaysen, and it is Wednesday, August the 28th. And once again, I'm broadcasting from my campus here in St. Louis. Not quite downtown St. Louis, but sort of mid-downtown St. Louis. And here I am with unbelievable things being said, as always. I know that apparently Donald today was on Dr. Phil's show. I wonder how he got himself on Dr. Phil's show. Does Dr. Phil support him? That would be pretty bizarre. I guess it's possible. I don't know. It must be. He wouldn't go on a show if he weren't being supported. So anyway, he was on Dr. Phil today, and he told Dr. Phil that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were responsible for the assassination attempt. So, gee, what a surprise. Donald's lost his mind. Well, lost it long ago, but I guess I'm just saying another piece of it was lost today, so that's okay. One thing that is for sure, while Donald is acting crazy and making accusations, like always, crazy things that he's saying, Kamala is just pumping up her strength and moving strongly toward what is so obviously coming in November. And it's just, it's hard to deny unless you're securely fastened in on Earth 2. I guess over there, you think you have a chance. And I know that the people over here on Earth 1 are also being very cautious because they don't want to encourage people to stay home from voting, because they would say, oh, well, we're going to win this, no problem, so I don't even need to vote. And the funny thing is, who would think that? Really? I can't even imagine anybody that would say such a thing, because it's so obvious that it would be extremely dangerous. Who would want to take the chance? You've just got to go and vote. Everybody's got to vote. If you go and vote, Donald has no chance. If everybody who shows up votes for exactly who they appear to be ready to vote for right now, Donald is down the tubes. Again, I think this could go all the way to 10 points. I don't think there's any reason why it couldn't. Yes, down ballot voting, Michael, that is where the issue is most important, because if you're going to elect Kamala, you want the Senate and the House to be firmly on the Democratic side so that things could get done. The last thing you need is Kamala Harris in the presidency and no ability to accomplish anything. But I will say, and I had a talk with a very good friend of mine today, this very smart guy, and he did say that he doesn't care about anything else. There's just only one point. Donald has to be stopped. And I've always said that, but I guess now I don't feel quite like that, because I just don't think there's a chance that Donald can win. Not even a chance. Really. Not even a remote chance. I mean, what would make him win? Just a bunch of people suddenly waking up one morning on November 5th and saying, you know, let's mess up the country. Let's wreck everything. I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's anything like what's going to happen. What's going to happen is people are going to wake up and they're going to say, okay, time to go and vote against Donald. We may have stayed home in 2016 because we thought Hillary had it made, or maybe in 2016 we lost our minds because of something that Jim Comey said, or I don't know. maybe the sun came up the wrong way in the city that you were in, whatever. But I will say that in 2020, people went out and voted. They knew, they had every understanding of what's on the line, and they showed up and they took care of business. And I think that we're going to take care of business in 2024, and everybody's going to go to vote because nobody wants to take a chance. Everybody's heard the stories of, there could be complacency. And by the way, I would say there can't be complacency. There won't be. And the reason I think there won't be is really very simple. And that's because people just want to go and vote. They want to tell their story by pushing the button, and everybody's going to do it. And I have absolutely no doubt that there's a combination here that cannot be pushed back, and that combination is women, Black people, and young people. I don't think there's any other way this is going to go. I think that's what's going to happen, and people are going to show up, and they're going to make sure that their voices are heard in all of this. And part of the reason is because of some of the things I'm going to talk about tonight, but there may be so many other reasons that people have. I just think that everybody's tired of Donald and tired of the arguing. And I think that people rightfully have determined that if Donald goes away for good, that a lot of this bad feeling in the country will be dramatically diminished. Now, I know that there are people on the other side who are talking about rebellion, secession, civil war. I mean, they're saying things that are pretty crazy. And the reason that they're getting sort of dramatic like this is because they recognize where this is going. They know that Donald's about to lose this election. And if Donald could control himself, and I don't know why I keep saying this, because if you told him directly, and I'm sure people are telling him directly, he wouldn't change a bit. In fact, he says he won't change a bit. He may be going to jail. And believe me, when I say going to jail, I'm not even talking about on September 18th. I mean, he could go to jail on September 18th. I hear people saying on all the channels, the judge is going to back down from this. He's going to give him probation and all that. And it might be true. That might be what happens. Possible. But the other side is that the judge may have had enough. Donald, between now and then, is only going to get more dangerous, more crazy, more fearful, more just dramatic. I do think he's going to get more dramatic because I think that he's recognizing that the world is caving in on his head. I think it's obvious to everybody on earth, one, that that's where we're going. And maybe Donald doesn't see it yet, but I think he does. I think he sees it better than his people see it, because his people will believe anything he says. But I think he knows what's being made up and what's not. I mean, look, a guy who will sell digital trading cards for $100 and promise people that if they buy X number of cards, they can go to dinner with them. That guy's got to be desperate. And I think that's where we are. Donald is desperate. And I think he's very aware that the polls are going dramatically in the wrong direction. And that's why he's selling digital trading cards. What the heck is a digital trading card anyway? Who would buy such a thing? Why would you want it? I don't know what you could possibly get with it. I don't know. For example, they're saying if you buy the right number of digital trading cards, in addition to going to dinner with him, he'll give you a piece of his coat that he wore when he was being indicted or something, or maybe before the insurrection. I don't know. I mean, it's lunacy. Why would you want a piece of his jacket? I mean, who wants a piece of Donald Trump's clothing? I mean, that's sick. I don't want his clothes. I don't want his socks. I don't want his shoes. I don't want anything that belongs to him. I want him to stay away from all of us. Just go away somewhere, because the whole thing is disgusting, really. But you want to talk about desperation? Listen to this. You know that Social Security's got a problem. Everybody knows Social Security's got a problem. They're running short of funds. And in about 8 years, if we don't do something, now we can do something, but if we don't do something, Social Security is going to drop by 20%. Now, let me assure you, Social Security is not going to drop by 20%. In fact, by that time, it may be up 10% more from where it is right now because of cost of living increases. Who knows? But I can guarantee you it's not going down. And I guarantee you that the government will come up with a fix for this. What are some fixes? One thing is take everybody that earns over $150,000 a year, which, you know, right now I think that's the limit. If you earn over $150,000, they won't tax your Social Security at that rate. What I think it may be 6%, whatever it is. However, if we just say, look, whatever you make, we don't care. If you make $1 million, if you make 10 million, we're taxing it all the way up to the limit. But guess what? You probably come up with enough money, and it'll be the end of the conversation. You could put a Social Security tax on people making $1 million, $10 million, $50 million. I mean, you think they're going to cry? I mean, they'll cry, but, you know, they're not going to be hurt. So, yeah, I mean, the people making $150,000, they get their money taxed. So tax everybody. Just do it. So that's one thing you could do. Other things you could do is, you know, obviously would maybe affect people at the higher earnings levels, so that you can get money coming from that direction. You don't need to take it from people making less than $400,000 a year. You don't have to do that. I mean, this is something that can be fixed. It can. So there's no problem there. But guess what? Donald's got something to tell you. He was saying it all day yesterday as if it's true, and you know it's not. He says that illegals, you know, undocumented aliens, they are taking your Social Security away, and that Social Security will disappear because all the money is going to undocumented illegal aliens. Really? Who would be giving it to them? I mean, really, think about it. The United States government is not giving away our Social Security funds to people who come here undocumented. If you cross the border, they don't just bring you to a special station across the border where you sign up and collect everybody's Social Security. It just doesn't happen. There's nothing like that. It's not even close. Because, I mean, they're not even getting any Social Security. You don't come across the border and get Social Security checks. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But Donald is saying that illegal people, undocumented, who are crossing the border are taking all of your Social Security. You'll have nothing. So, that's not true. Do I really have to say it? Well, I guess I should say it. I guess everybody should say it, because Donald is telling you that money is being taken from you. And it's not even close, because it's not even at all. Now, here's something that is happening that I guess this is why Donald's saying these things. Kamala is out right now in Georgia in big force. I mean, everywhere. She is crisscrossing Georgia. She is putting ads out. She is meeting with people. She is going everywhere in Georgia. In fact, she's going places in Georgia that Democrats have never gone when challenging for Georgia, because, it's been years since the Democrats have had a chance in Georgia, except for Joe Biden. And so, Joe Biden was well behind, but not anymore. That's gone. Kamala has closed that gap, and now she's making a real challenge to win Georgia. Now, she's a good 4 points ahead in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. A good 4 points ahead. And it might be more than that by now, because her numbers keep going up everywhere. But the thing is that in Georgia, a lot of people thought under Joe Biden that Georgia could go back to the Republicans. But Kamala Harris is being very smart. She sees where the numbers are headed. And so she's putting her money, as well as everywhere else in swing states, she's putting her money in Georgia. And like I say, even in areas of Georgia that are so bright red that no Democrat would spend any money there, Kamala is going there too. Well, first of all, she's got money, lots of money. And secondly, she sees an opportunity, and she wants to lock down the vote in Georgia. She can lock it down in Georgia. She can get Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. That's the election right there. But she's not even stopping there, of course. She wants North Carolina. She wants Nevada. She wants Colorado. She wants all over this country, because she sees this opportunity that I don't know if anybody's ever going to have it again, because, Donald has just killed the Republican Party. And when it was Donald versus Joe Biden, no question, there were enough people out here who, number one, thought Joe Biden was simply too old, and number two, heard Joe Biden, and they were fearful that they would have a president who would end up sick or dead. And so the numbers didn't look so good. And as a result, we ended up with Kamala Harris. Now, the interesting thing about Kamala, and this is what another one of Donald's brilliant claims, Donald claims that Kamala was the worst vice president in American history. The worst. And that he doesn't understand at this point, how did the worst vice president in the history of America suddenly come charging on with all of this momentum and enthusiasm? Well, see, he does understand what's going on. He understands, but he thinks it's rigged. He thinks it's rigged against him, that this movement behind Kamala Harris is somehow, it's something that's been cooked up by the Democrats to destroy Donald in a way that's unfair. Yeah, unfair, because he's going to lose. Yeah, he thinks that's unfair because, in Donald's mind, he's supposed to be president, and that's it. Of course, he thought he won in 2020 anyway, but again, that's in his head, unless he's lying, and we know that Donald lies, so don't worry about that. Could be either way. But whatever it is, Donald thinks that everything is being stolen from him. Like they stole the casinos, like they stole that crazy school that he was running that was obviously fraudulent, like they stole the steak company, like they stole the tie company. Everything Donald's ever done has failed. Everything. You realize everything that Donald Trump has ever done has failed. And Donald thinks that there's something here that is owed to him. Now, maybe, I think you could maybe figure this out. Maybe because he got the inheritance from his father, that he thinks that everything is owed to him like his father's money was. And of course, let's remember, Mary Trump says that some of that money was supposed to go to the Mary Trump part of the family too, but that Donald stole all of that. But that's neither here nor there. One thing, though, is absolutely factual, and you would think that somebody out there who thinks that Donald is some kind of accomplished business person, which he isn't. He's a complete failure. But people think he is accomplished. So for those, I think they might want to take a look at DJT. DJT, trades in the marketplace. Started off, when it went public, it was an SPAC, specialized purpose acquisition company. It's a deal for people going public. You buy into a shell. You don't know what the shell is going to become, but eventually, whatever it is, you hope it's going to be worth something. And in this case, it was, I don't want to say Trump's company, because a company would imply he does something, and we know that he doesn't do anything. But let's pretend for a minute it's a company, and it does trade in the marketplace, and it trades under DJT. And I just want you to know, you're I'm sure aware that I've been saying that this thing is headed for $1 per share, and today it finally broke under $20. First time broke under $20, and Donald lost another $100 million today. Now, at 20, let's call it 20. DJT is worth to Donald Trump $2 billion. He did nothing to get that $2 billion. And by the way, he doesn't have $2 billion. He's got nothing, because today is August 28th, and he has to wait until September 20th to sell. So if he has to wait until September 20th, yes, Maurice, that's why he's selling the cards. That's right. So, if he has to wait until Monroe believes that Trump is suffering from syphilis, that's possible too. Very possible. He is a grifter. He is selling those cards, and his people will buy them. And I've always said they'll buy them with their last dollar that they have for food, and so they will eat dog food and send the money to Donald. Okay, we know that. But let's go back to DJT for a minute, because I just want to go over the numbers here for you. So at $20 a share, it's down to $2 billion. It started off, it got to $80 a share. At that point, he had a little over $8 billion. So let's call it $9 billion. So he had $9 billion, and that was a few months ago, and it's been whittled away now to $2 billion. And I can tell you right now, if it drops to $1 a share, he'll have $100 million. If it drops to 50 cents a share, he'll have $50 million. And, you can buy a few dinners with $50 million. You could go to jail and probably do okay with $50 million. He's going to need $50 million to pay his remaining legal bills. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But, Donald's in trouble. All he had left was that money in that stock that he couldn't touch. And when I say that, I'm not just making it up. There was a study done, I believe it was by the New York Times, but it might have just been reported by the New York Times, but it's real. And it was found that Donald's remaining money is the money in that stock. That's what he's got. And he shouldn't even have that, but okay, he's got it. He got it fair and square, or at least he got the shares fair and square. Now, what they're worth on September 20th is the question, because they are going down. And I've been saying this all the way down. I mean, all the way down from $80, I've been saying, this thing's going to zero. And then I started saying 1. So let's give them 1. I know we don't want to give them anything, but, let's say 1. Might be 1, might be a half a dollar, might be 10 cents. I've always said, anybody will buy something for a half a buck. So, he might get a half a buck a share for it. But it's going down. Sitting under $20 today. Any day it could drop $3, $4 a share. And then what are you going to be looking at? Well, you can imagine. The man has always lost. He's a loser. The only thing that wasn't a loser was the television show. But don't forget, that wasn't him. That was Mark Burnett. Mark Burnett did the television show. And yeah, Donald made money off of it. But believe me, if he could have killed the show, he'd have killed that too. But what he did is kill everything else. Everything else he's touched, dead. But he's still got $2 billion on paper. I mean, I'll guarantee you, Donald's probably at home right now, adding up those shares over and over again, trying to figure out what can I do to get my money from my shares. September 20th, guys, that's it. He can't get it before the 20th. So that's where he stands. I don't think anybody's rooting for him much, except for maybe Ivanka, who would like to get her share of the money, whatever that is, probably nothing. But maybe Donald Jr. and Eric think they're going to get something. And if they do, it's not happening. They're not getting a penny. I mean, Donald will give nobody anything. And by the way, he isn't going to have anything. So it doesn't really much matter. Okay, so that's DJT tonight. We talked about how much money he's got, which is basically zero. No, I don't want to say zero. He's probably got a wad of $100 bills in his pocket. That's probably there. And he's probably got, he's got people sending him money all the time. The Supreme Court will decide to let him cash in. You know what, Maurice? If they do, it won't do anything. Because if they found out that he had the right to sell that stock tomorrow, it'd probably go straight to $1. Because, it's all supply and demand. And if there were some deal that caused that thing or everybody to realize that he could get out tomorrow, I think everybody would sell with him. I think in fact, they couldn't even do that, because he's got to register that he's going to sell first. And once he registered, the thing would probably be $1 or less. So anyway, we'll watch it and count his money going down the tubes. Now, that's true, Maurice. Elon Musk might give him the money. That's true. He might just go to his pocket and pull out 100 million and just hand it to him with a little cup and send him out in the street to see if he can pay him back. I don't know. I don't know that he would do that, because, you know what? Why would he give the money away? What's Donald worth if he's not the president of the United States? I mean, I think Elon would like to be hooked into the president of the United States. I think if he sees that Donald is worthless, I think he's going to run the other direction pretty fast. I don't think anybody's in love with Donald Trump. I don't think anybody wants to give him anything. I think they want to take something from him. They want, you know, a position on the cabinet. You know, that brings you to Robert Kennedy. I hate to even say the name. Robert F. Kennedy, RFK Jr. How could you even say that? I mean, you know how ill he is. Everything, you know, the bear in Central Park and, you know, all this craziness that comes out of him. Yeah, Robert Kennedy would give him some money. I'm sure he would. If he's got anything left, which I don't know. The family may have allowed him to have money, or maybe they won't allow him to have anything when they put him away in an institution where he belongs for his own self-preservation. The man is seriously ill. He does have a worm brain. You know, a brain and a worm in his brain. He does. I mean, he said he did, and I'm sure he did. I think he's telling the truth on that. Look, there's something wrong with him, for sure. There always has been, you all. This man is in serious trouble. And what does he do? He hooks up with Trump. Now, to his credit, he was willing to hook up with Kamala. Only problem is Kamala wouldn't even talk to him. Wouldn't even give him a minute. Wouldn't give him 30 seconds. I mean, that's to her credit. She had the good sense to not even get involved in such a conversation. And so, Robert, don't say Bobby. It's an insult to Bobby. Yeah, to the real Bobby. Anyway, yeah, think about it. Think of the family. Think about John Kennedy. Think about Joe Kennedy. Think about Bobby Kennedy. Think about Ted Kennedy, well, you know, one of the great senators of all time. I mean, you don't even have to agree with him, but I mean, he was, you know, people call him the Lion of the Senate. I mean, you know, he was great. He was a Kennedy. I mean, you didn't have to like him, but he was like the Kennedys. I mean, this guy isn't like a Kennedy. This guy is like a patient in the hospital. And listen, patients in the hospital should be respected too, but not given the courtesy or anything of putting his name in the same sentence as somebody great like Bobby Kennedy. No. Bobby Kennedy should have been president. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as everybody, you know, the saying, I mean, he shouldn't be dog catcher. Really? I mean, that would be a horrible thing to do to dogs. Anyway, yeah, it's just not good. And he's been, you know, grabbed up by Donald, because Donald thinks that he's going to take anything, whatever he can get. And he's certainly going to get more out of Robert Kennedy than he's going to get out of Elon, because I think Elon is far too smart. I'm not saying he is smart, but he's too smart for this. Too smart for this. Okay, so that takes care of Social Security. Oh, let's not let's not walk away to the commercials without talking about the cat ladies, because I'll tell you, JD Vance is going further downhill by the minute. And the funny part about it is that it's not even so much what he's doing now, although he's not doing anything right. He's in fact getting himself in more and more trouble, because every time he's confronted with something he has said from his past life, yeah, JD Vance will be selling couches. I know. But look, from his past life, it's killing him. It really is. And the latest thing is this deal where he was attacking Randy Weingarten from the teachers union, and talking about how teachers, get this, teachers without children are brainwashing your children. Listen to that again. Teachers without children are brainwashing your children. Where do they even come up with these stories? How do they think them up? But they do. They say them on tape. And then when the tape comes back, when it comes out, and they have to say something, instead of saying, I was drinking that night, I woke up out of a dream and I didn't know what I was saying. I mean, there has to be some explanation. But instead, they double down on it. They triple down on it. They insist that what they're doing is very wise, that they know what they're saying, and what they're saying makes sense. That JD Vance said that he does have some regrets, but none of them are tied into these things that he said. The things that he said, he stands behind, and he doesn't even say, they were said inartfully. Yeah, some people say those things. That's not even what they're saying, or not what he's saying. He's saying that you're misunderstanding it, that you don't understand what he really means when he talks about cat ladies without children. Because all he meant was this family thing. He loves families. That's his whole story. And maybe he does love families. But I will say this, if he loves them, he's sure doing them a disservice by hooking up with America's Hitler. And again, that's not even my words, although it sort of is, but it's his words. I mean, again, this is J.D. Vance telling you. J.D. Vance says that Donald Trump, or said that Donald Trump is the American Hitler. Now, I say that Donald Trump is Hitler because, number one, he talks about poisoning the blood of America and repeating it over and over, even after he's been told by many people that it's Hitler's language. At first he said, I didn't know, I never heard of it, blah, blah, blah. But now he knows that it's Hitler's language, and he still says it. So, yeah, Hitler. So that's number one. And then next, the man says that his administration, Franklin Roosevelt is the New Deal. And Woodrow Wilson, the New Freedom, or whatever that was. And, Lyndon Johnson, even Lyndon Johnson, the Great Society. And what's Donald Trump? The unified right. Honestly, with all the things he could have come up with, that's what he comes up with for his administration, the unified right. And then, of course, after people get crazy on him, then he says, I didn't do it. I never heard of it. It's not me. Someone else did it. No one else had access to his tweets or whatever they are. No one had access. He had access, and then some guy on his campaign had access. Those two people, and believe me, Donald put it there. And then he tells you the same thing he always said. Oh, I never heard of it. I don't even know what you're saying. I never saw it before. I don't know anything. I never heard of Hitler, never heard of the Reich, never heard of anything, of course. But that's what he said. That's his administration. The unified Reich. Sounds German to me. Sounds like Hitler to me. And don't forget, his wife said, I guess the first wife, or maybe the second one, I don't know. Maybe the third one too, that when he goes to sleep at night, he reads the speeches of Adolf Hitler. Why? I can't tell you. But I can tell you this, you can get a heck of a dinner if you just go right down the street to 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road to Wenty's. And the interesting thing about Wenty's, and I got to tell you, and this is the honest truth, I'm telling you. Yeah, Donald. I'll give me one of Donald's Bibles, I'll swear on it. No, this is the truth. People are all over telling me that they went to Wenty's. I'm getting all these people who are telling me that they've gone to Wenty's and they love it. And they should. It's a good place. And you know, they've got wings. And probably all these people love wings. You know, wings are not my thing, but that's all right. But Wenty's got the best wings. I'm told they've got great wings. I know that they've got smoked meat. I know they've got hamburgers, cheeseburgers, and patty melts. And I tell you all the time, I love the patty melts. And boy, I love onions. You could just keep pouring those onions onto those patty melts. That would be good. And then mix them in with those onion rings. And then you got a real deal. Now you can get pizza at Wenty's. You can get baby back ribs. You can get, again, the onion rings with the ribs. That's what I like. And you can get the terrific drinks at Wenty's. I mean, you know, I drink iced tea, and it's the best iced tea I've ever had. So, yeah, great food, great dinners, great lunch, everything. All at Wenty's. You cannot go wrong. Outstanding environment, great place to eat, great people that own Wenty's and started it up. His wife and certainly Ben, they did a great thing here. And there it is, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. It's Wenty's. And don't forget, you can go right to Defiance anytime you want and keep getting more Wenty's. $29.99 South Highway 94. That's Defiance, Missouri. It's all Wenty's. Now, if you want great jewelry, all kinds of jewelry, cases filled with jewelry, well, then you go to 4506 Hampton and you go to Jewels on Hampton. And by the way, Joe, I found that very interesting because I didn't say Jewels on Hampton, but you put it up there, and you've always told me that you wait until I say it, which is, you know, because I was talking about jewelry, but you don't know. I could have been saying that you're going to bring your jewelry down to the clothing store. But anyway, itchy trigger finger. Yeah, I got you. Okay, anyway, Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton. I'll tell you right now, Al has a fabulous jewelry store. He really does. And his son, AJ, they're all there together. They make sure that everything runs smoothly. They're very friendly. They're very nice people. Everybody loves Al. And the people who work there with them. It's just a great business. And they sell jewelry at good prices. They'll trade with you for jewelry and gold coins. And this is just a great place to do business. You can make some money, you can pick up some money. The prices are fair. Al is fair. He's fair. He's fun to visit. It's all at Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton. So check them out. And then, you know, if you want to dress nice after you made all the money at the jewelry store, you can go to the St. Louis Suit Company in Clayton on the corner of Forsyth and Central, because you got all this money that you got by doing business at the jewelry store. And now you're on your way to getting great clothing at the St. Louis Suit Company. Now, you know Jay and Nick, that's father and son, and the rest of the family's there too. And they run this thing very well. They sell great clothes at terrific prices. You know, the ties. I mean, that's the deal. If you'd see how many ties I have in the trunk of my car, you'd fall over. I mean, I just have ties and more ties and lots of ties. Really nice ones. All different. They're all, you know, very nice silk ties, but all different designs, patterns. It's a great place to buy men's clothing. Now, yes, they got shirts, they got shoes, they got everything at the St. Louis Suit Company. They also have wedding attire that they'll make available for you if you're getting married. So that's a good thing to check out there. Maurice says he just bought a suit at the St. Louis Suit Company, and I wouldn't doubt it because lots of people I meet have done that. They have great clothes there. That's the truth. Now, I will tell you, this is a place where you can get nice overcoats. You really can. The problem is, I know you could have gotten great prices 2 months ago. I'm not sure where it is now. I mean, the prices are still good, but it's just, you know, you got to buy things when the weather is the other way. And right now, yeah, the weather is hot. Yeah, we know it's 100 degrees out, but nobody's dumb. You know, it's just like we say, the American people aren't stupid. They're not voting for Trump. Women aren't stupid. They're not voting for Trump. Young people aren't stupid. They're not voting for Trump. Well, the St. Louis Suit Company isn't stupid. They know what the weather is going to be in another few weeks, and they're not going to give away those overcoats now. But they will still sell them at good prices for sure, and very nice overcoats. You know, I just wanted you to steal one. But, you know, if you want to pay the price, you just go down there and pay the price. It's all right. It's a good price. It's a great store. Great people. St. Louis Suit Company, 30 years in Clayton. They're going to be there a lot longer, I promise you. Go visit them. Okay. So we've sold you some digital trading cards. You know that you don't want to buy any DJT stock until Trump dumps his last share at 50 cents. Then after that, you probably hit the bottom. Other than that, I would tell you that, you know, and we're not done yet. But I want to remind you that come Friday, we're going to be talking immigration, and we've got really an outstanding person from the Missouri legislature is coming into the studio. They're doing some work here in Missouri, looking at what kind of crime the immigrants are involved in. And of course, the answer is almost no crime. I mean, to find an immigrant who has committed a crime, well, I guess what you have to do is go find Donald Trump. Because if you go find Donald Trump, he'll have the list. He'll have all 5 immigrants in the United States who have committed a crime. And he'll tell you all their names. He'll give you their addresses. He'll tell you to stay away and all that. But, you know, generally, if you just go to check out immigrants, you'll find that they leave people alone. They're in trouble themselves, and they just don't want to be in trouble. And so they definitely get themselves away. And that's a good thing. Where all this business about immigrants committing crime came from. Well, I know where. I mean, it came from Donald. I mean, did he get it from someone else? I don't know. He probably made all this stuff up himself. It's so ridiculous because we know numbers, and the numbers are just not there. I mean, it's just like crime in general. Crime in general, oh, people are saying it's skyrocketing. Yeah. If you're standing on it on your head, it is skyrocketing. That's true, because crime is dropping in the United States. And the reason is probably pretty simple. As I've said in the last few days when I talk about people getting older, birthdays. You know, the more birthdays you have, the less likely it is that anybody's going to commit a crime. Older people do not commit crimes. Let's see, who had DJT hired at Mar-a-Lago? Well, you know, that's an interesting point, by the way, because you know that Donald Trump, as far as getting hired anywhere, it's been said by people at malls in the United States, and you know there aren't many malls left, but for any malls that are left, they say they have strict standards for who they'll hire. And clearly, Donald Trump going into the mall, first of all, he's a convicted criminal. He is a convicted felon. Convicted felons don't get hired at a clothing store. Convicted felons don't even get hired at the movie theater if you want to go to the movie theater at the mall. I mean, they just don't do it. They're afraid you're going to steal popcorn. They don't want this guy. No one does. He couldn't get hired at anywhere in the mall, in any mall, anywhere in the United States. You go in with Donald's record and they are going to send you home. So, yeah, Donald's not going to get hired. Could he get hired at Mar-a-Lago? Well, if he's doing the hiring, yeah. If it's just regular hiring people, I guarantee you they won't hire anyone. And by the way, that's an interesting point too. He hires a lot of immigrants at Mar-a-Lago. I wonder why he does that, since they're obviously going to kill him, because you know what those immigrants do. You know, like Donald says, hundreds of thousands of people are dead at the border. Of course, my cousin Michael says all the time that he hasn't seen any of them out in the street. And I've asked him every night, you know, go out in the street. He's in Arizona. Go out in the street and check to see if there's anybody dead in the street, because Donald says hundreds of thousands. So I'm just asking. Maybe it's nobody. In fact, I'm sure it's nobody. But that's Donald Trump. You know, I guess let me end with what's going on in Israel and Ukraine. You know, obviously there's a lot of killing that's still going on there as well, in Israel as well as in Ukraine. And Ukraine, you know, they've taken a pretty good risk. They've attacked Russia. I mean, nobody has attacked Russia since World War II. And the last person that attacked Russia during World War II ended up in the basement somewhere with a gun pointed to his head that he did personally. He did it himself. So, you know, it's not such a great idea to try to take over Europe. It really is not. And it didn't work for Adolf Hitler. It's not working for Vladimir Putin, because obviously Volodymyr Zelensky is getting the support of the United States and all of Europe on top of that. They all learned a lesson. We all learned a lesson. I say we. Obviously, it doesn't include Donald Trump. But everybody else, we learned a lesson. Somebody tries to take over Europe, you step in and stop it, because if they try, they're not going to stop in Europe. And when they get going and a little momentum behind them, and they start coming after who knows, like us, you know, you may remember, you can get across that Atlantic Ocean. It's not what it once was, you know, when Christopher Columbus was out there. So I'm just warning you. You got to stop Putin because he's a dangerous man. And if you don't know how dangerous he is, here's a hint. He's saying now that the United States is endangering the world in that we, the United States, we are pushing the world toward World War III. And I suppose that his explanation for this is that by giving weapons to the Ukrainians, we are angering Putin to the point where he may have no other choice because his emotions may get out of control and he may just have to just destroy the planet. Now, if he destroys the planet, unless he's got a mine shaft operation like they had in Dr. Strangelove, other than that, I think he's going to be killing himself as well. In other words, anything he does with regard to World War III would be suicide. But Putin says he's going to do it. Now, he's been saying this for 2 years. Every couple of months, he comes out and says that he is going to attack with nuclear weapons. And of course, he says he's going to use strategic weapons. Now, understand this. Strategic weapons are not pop guns. As an example, the current strategic nuclear weapons that would be operated through Russia are more powerful than what we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So it's not like this is some kind of a special nuclear weapon that won't do any harm. It would kill hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people, and it would be the end of Vladimir Putin. It would be the end of Russia. In fact, Russia has almost destroyed itself with what it's done so far, because in all truth, here you've got Zelensky entering Russian space. Now, he's not doing it because he thinks he can take Moscow. I don't think. I mean, maybe he thinks he can. Maybe he can, for all I know. Maybe he could. But I can only say this. It isn't safe. It isn't good. It is a risk. But, Ukraine is on the edge. They're being attacked day and night. The country is being eliminated. I mean, the buildings are. It's all rubble. And yes, the United States is going to rebuild Ukraine. I promise you that. But the question is how much damage you're going to do before then. And the only thing that Zelensky can do is what he's doing. Take it to Russia. You got these weapons from the United States and from Europe. Get in there. Make Putin crazy. Make him have to quit. Because if he tries to use nuclear weapons in Russia, in Ukraine, I do believe that there are people in Moscow that would like to survive. They would like to live. And I can tell you right now that no one in that part of the world will survive it. And it might not even leave us unscathed. I can tell you right now, if they start shooting off nuclear weapons, even if they didn't shoot them all the way over here, they could destroy the planet. So, what Putin's doing is dangerous. What the United States is doing is necessary, because the only other choice would be to just write out a bill of sale to Putin for the United States, give it to him for $1 and call it a day. And we're not going to do that. Putin thinks he can buy the United States by owning Trump, and that's another possibility, but not under these circumstances, because Donald can't win. And even Putin's beginning to realize that. I realize I got to get out of here. I can tell you that much. I'll be back in the studio tomorrow with a really interesting show. Great guests coming also from Jeff City for St. Louis Suit Company and for Jules on Hampton and Wenty's. I'm Mark Kaysen. This is Showdown. Good night.